Now, chapter 4 actually opens up on a weekend down at Highgrove, and Diana is there alone because Charles is away on an official engagement. And in order not to be lonely, she invited Uncle Andrew, Prince Andrew, down, and also his fiancée, Sarah Ferguson. Now, Barbara Barnes, the nanny, is actually off that weekend, so Wendy Berry has to help out Diana's dresser in looking after the boys, and also Wendy Berry has to greet any guests that arrive. So she was the one that actually greeted Sarah Ferguson in the hall. And I'll read you just that little snippet. I walked up to greet Sarah Ferguson in the hall, taking her slightly tattered, battered old suitcase up to the green room. So she then goes on to say that she put the suitcase on the bed in the green room. She opened it up. She was going to unpack for Sarah, whereupon Diana's dresser, Evelyn, joined her. And when she opened up the suitcase, Evelyn actually gasped. Now, that's where the grey-white underwear comes in, because there was a lot of this greyish-white underwear, which happens, doesn't it? When you wash your whites in with your blacks, that's what happens. It's not Sarah's fault. And but everything was really crumpled. Everything was just chucked in. The clothes weren't what they were used to. They weren't very good. And they said they were none too clean. Now, I'm not sure I can judge Sarah for that, because in my 20s, if I was hastily packing for a weekend in the country, probably my suitcase would have been just as bad, probably even worse. But the only exception that I would make was I don't think I would pack grey-white undies if I was having a romantic weekend with my new fiancé in the country. I think I would probably pack something a little more attractive. Now, we learned from Wendy Berry that Uncle Andrew was very popular with William and Harry. He used to play lots of great practical jokes, and he used to do strange farting noises, which you could imagine boys would just absolutely love. But Wendy Berry was not a fan, and I'll tell you why. Her son actually worked at Buckingham Palace as a footman, and so he had told his mum a lot of horror stories about Prince Andrew. Now, bear in mind that this is way before there was any trouble with Andrew. There was nothing nefarious about Andrew's sort of relationships or friendships or anything like that. He was actually well loved in the press. He was admired. He was the dashing young naval hero who was about to get married. So, you know, there was a favourable sort of view of Andrew back in those days, and he was quite handsome. People used to, you know, pin up his posters and things like that. So Wendy Berry was going against the tide a little bit, saying she didn't like him, and it was just due to the staff reaction in Buckingham Palace. Now, she is fair yet again, and she says that the horror stories from Buckingham Palace were mainly about his expectation to be waited on hand and foot. And she says, well, we can't really blame that on him because he was raised in a system that, I quote, allowed him practically anything he wanted. She then goes on to say that he's a man's man and that he sort of liked the Windsor's lavatory humour, and also that he had a habit of going around with his ornaments on full show, if you get my meaning. I've got my ornaments on full show today because I'm going out for Christmas lunch with the girls after I record this. But so if you can imagine Andrew's dingle dangles, they were out on full show. I don't think you really want to imagine that. I am so sorry for the image that I just put in your mind.